Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new Ask Victor. This is the Ask Victor of January. This is the video where I answer the questions that you leave in the Ask Victor of the month before. So if you want this series to continue, and if you like me answering your questions, leave the questions in the comments below. I will come back to this video in 1 month, more or less, and I will answer your questions again. I really enjoyed this video. They're really good questions that make me think a lot, and sometimes, I see some of these questions here that there is room even to make a full video for these questions. So rather than just moving the camera, I thought that I was not well centered. So let's go to the questions that I have 4 questions, but some are long. Some people leaving questions from the previous month. The first one is from Edic Beer 40k. If you watch this video soon, I don't know, Edic Beer is just reached the 10,000 subscribers, so a great achievement. I recommend to subscribe to his channel as well. So let's go to the question. Nice show, buddy. When you feel yourself becoming ill, what is your go-to remedy to helpful stop it? Mine is limp and sleep. Okay, it depends. Normally I suffer migraine from time to time. So when I notice that the migraine is coming, I go fast to take paracetamol 1 gram. I prefer to take ibuprofen. I think it's 650 milligrams. I take that if the migraine is quite heavy. Normally take that and then I go to bed, hopefully being able to feel asleep at least for 1 hour, and normally this is helping me to overcome that. When I feel sick, because it happened to me during this week, I was not feeling very well one day. My remedy is just let's go straight to bed. When I feel sick, I eat much less. I like to take some soup, and especially chicken vegetable soup. Sorry, and I go to bed straightforward. So resting for me is the recipe to try to overcome an illness or when I feel sick. And sometimes works and sometimes does not work, but going to bed I think is the best remedy. Vince Venturella, good answer, sir. Here are some new questions. What tutorial have you always wanted to do but been afraid yourself to tackle? This is a good one. Non-metallic metal. Non-metallic metal is a thing that I have in mind, but first I need to master. The point is I'm not doing too much non-metallic metal. This is one. Difficult patterns on freehand is another one. But I will say non-metallic metal maybe is the one that I don't feel comfortable still to share. Some of these more, I will say this is one of the things. I need to practice. So far I just did 1 minute with non-metallic metal. Would you like to see totally a new army in 40k, something already mentioned in the lore, like the Dvad or something? To be fair, I think Warhammer 40k before, and I talk a little bit about this week. I think what we need first is to consolidate the factions that are already out there and does not have Codex. I think this is the focus point. I was a little bit surprised that the Adeptus Custodes having their own faction. From my point of view, I feel more interested on the Sisters of Silence, and if there is an army that needs a Codex and plastic miniatures, these are the Sisters of Battle. I think here I'm with you. I want these plastic Sisters of Battle now. Well, not now, maybe in some month when I have more budget. But I would love to see this in 2018. If we get the Lion as been rumored, are you going to pick up and paint him immediately? Any hopes for the model and what you want to see. The first hope is I hope it's completely different from Robot Gilliman or Robotic Gilliman. Uh, I will pick him and I will paint him as soon as possible, more or less like I did with Mortarion or with Robotic Gilliman. I love the Primarchs, I want to collect them, so if I pick him, it's going to be paint at least in between the next 2 months since I pick him. Depending on what projects I'm working at that moment. But for sure I will pick him as soon as it's released. My hopes, I want to see this mixture of Space Marine and Warrior Monk that I like a lot from the Dark Angels. So maybe hooded or with this type of clothes that it's giving this middle-aged look on Space Marine servo armor. And the thing I'm more interested in is how this will react with the lore. I'm really interested to see how they're having Lionel Johnson back, how this will affect to the Dark Angels, and what relation this Primarch will have with Robot Gilliman. So one of the things I'm most interested in, about this, how this will match with the fluff, what is going to be the reaction of Lionel Johnson with Robot Gilliman, and how it's going to affect to Dark Angels, because Dark Angels is really a very special chapter with all the sequences they have internally. Then I go questions. Here I have questions from the Heresy Productions. Another nice Q&A, Victor. What are your thoughts about? On the Titanicus release eventually to come? Do you think it will eventually expand to an epic style game? As a painter, do you also enjoy painting smaller scales? And did you play epic? I think it's going to be a box game. I'm thinking if it's going to be something like the Vet Fleet or something like that. There is a lot of games that can expand now. I don't think they will expand a lot on this one. They have Necromunda to expand, they have Blood Bowl to expand, they have Shadowspire, and then they have the two main... so there is a moment that it's going to be saturated. It's a scale that I did not enjoy that much to paint. And I think this is why I don't think it's going to expand in epic style. I think they will keep as a Titanicus, as a fight of titans. I think as a fight of titans is quite interesting, because then the miniatures are big enough to paint and can be a fun game. Like it's going to be more. It's remembering me like the BattleTech. Okay, so I enjoyed when I was playing BattleTech. I enjoy if I have to paint these big vehicles or these big walkers. I don't enjoy to paint this small infantry. I have an epic army. I have an orc epic army. I tried to paint it several times. I paint a couple of Arcade Boar. It's not a scale that I really like to paint. I prefer to paint, and I have more passion to paint the 25mm or 30mm scale that is now. But yeah, it's fun to see Gretchins at the scale of the epic. But I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up this game or not, because it's in a different scale, and I really enjoy the 25mm scale. I don't think it's really I don't think it's a game for me. So not very interested on the Titanicus, to be fair. Maybe it's fun if it's just a box game and it's one go, maybe, because I enjoy these games of one go. Depending what is the approach of Games Workshop, if I will pick it. But if I have to start collecting another army, no, because I'm really collecting too much. Yeah, that's all. So I have, and yeah, yes, I have, as I said, epic army. I have orcs. Maybe one day I will share what I painted and what epic army will look like. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested to see on my epic collection, although a lot of it is not painted. And then I go to the last question, is Sir Artichoke Darlington Banford III. Great video, Victor. You must continue the Ask Victor monthly show, as there are precious few veteran gamers out there with such wealth of experience and wisdom in the field. To this end, I have a question for the January edition. Is the age of the Codex dead? And this is a good question, because when Age of Sigmar was released, we thought that the age of the army books was over, and it's not the case. So we have army books for all the new factions that are released. I don't think they are dead as books, but I think when I see your explanation, I think the question is the Codex armies, if they are dead. They were dead in 7th edition already. So it depends a lot on the player. If you go to competitive, if the faction have a very strong rules that give a big advantage, I think people will get attached to it. But as this is played in 40k, no, I think the age of Codex, age of a unique Codex armies are dead for the competitive players, because they will have 2 or 3 detachments taking advantage of different factions. Even if you only play Space Marines, is dead. You are going to see Ultra with Ravengar, for example. I'm just inventing. In the Tyranids, when I saw the reviews, the people is talking about mixing fleets of Tyranids. So even if you only play Tyranids, it's going to be mixed. But I think no Tyranids have already allies that are the Genestealer cult. So no, we change from Codex to keywords, and then depending how these keywords are working, you will see one thing or the other. But I think the age of the Codex are dead. The problem is that you have to carry a serious problem that carry all these books to tournaments, to games, and this is making the thing a little bit more difficult. Yeah, can happen that you have to carry about 2 or 3 books each time. Just as I think it's quite probably we will have the situation like the one you're describing, that you play Eldar and then you have the Craft Wall together with Harlequins and the Banshee. Yeah, but I think this is the way to go. Anyway, it's up to everybody how we want to approach. When you play low points, I think we are going to see more single Codex armies or single faction armies. When we go to bigger games, yeah, we are going to have the soup of the Imperium, or the soup of Eldar, or the soup of Tyranids even. Necrons are the only ones that only have 1 Codex at this moment, Tau maybe. But we are going to have more and more mixes and sub-factions, and if we follow the same trend that I have seen in Age of Sigmar, yeah, you will have more like mixes and non-mixes, so it's going to be... And the advantage of that, I don't see this as a disadvantage. I think that it's giving a lot of personality, and it's giving a lot of variables in order to make armies. I don't think we are going to have... So we are going to have miniatures that are going to be always present, because they synergize with several types of armies, like Robot Gilliman again, as an example, is so good as a miniature that we are going to see it in a lot of armies. The Imperial Knights, it was another one that was very present. But I think what we are going to see is different ways to approach the armies. I don't think we are going to see in the future 2 Space Marines that looks almost the same. They are going to each, I think now the rules give a lot of variables and give a lot of room to have different armies around the same concept but being different at the same time. But yeah, the age of the Codex as a unique faction army at 2000 points I think is over. The last time I played to a tournament, I had even playing Genestealer Cult, I have Genestealer Cult and Astra Militarum. When I'm playing below 1,000 points, I normally play just one codex. It's all depend on the collection you have and how you want to approach and what type of synergies you're looking for. In my case, I still think on a single faction, but yeah, I like the idea to have Grey Knights allied with Astra Militarum, for example, because it gives the point to make thematic armies and that makes sense on the fluff, right? Of course, some people will go beyond the fluff and they will make some mixes that are not that nice, but yeah, and we'll see on the competitive side of that. But yeah, the edge of the codex is dead. And yeah, that's all the questions for this month. If you are interested in this series to continue, please leave more questions for the next month to come. You see, some people is leaving just one question, some other people is leaving more than one. It's up to you what you want to ask to me, and I will be very glad to answer them next month. I hope you find the questions this month interesting. Yeah, and as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you the next month. Bye!